everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, wherever you might be dialing in from around the world. Thank you all for joining us for today's webinar, Payment Integrity, Market Overview, and Vendor Landscape, presented by IT-Navarca Group. I'm Michaela Bernier, and I'll be your host for today's webinar. We'll be starting the webinar shortly, but first let me cover some quick housekeeping items. Today's webinar will be recorded. A link to view the recording on demand will be available after the session. We will be taking questions at the end of the webinar, so please feel free to submit your questions using the questions feature located in the GoToWebinar toolbar to the right of your screen. It is now my pleasure to introduce today's speakers. Ingy Kaya is a strategic advisor on IT-Navarca Group's healthcare payments practice and covers healthcare payments, health IT, evolving market trends, and vendor evaluations and their implications for industry stakeholders. Ingy brings to IT-Navarca Group 10 years of experience in advisory research, strategic market insights, and analysis working with financial services, IT service providers, and healthcare industry clients. She is joined today by Elijah Poindexter. Elijah is an associate at IT-Navarca Group, where he works with senior members of the Healthcare Payments Group on research, consultation, and advisory initiatives. So without further ado, I'll now turn it over to Ingy to dive into today's content. Thank you again for joining us, and we hope you enjoyed today's webinar.
Elijah, actually, I'd planned for you to kick us off. So why don't you share a little bit about what we have in mind for the next 30-40 minutes, will you?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for that. And thank you for the intro as well. Very much appreciated. Before we get started today, just like to take a little bit of time to go over the agenda for today. We'll be getting into sort of the methodology behind the findings on the webinar, right? So kind of from a numerical, from a statistical perspective, where do we derive the relevancy from? Why does this matter? And how does it matter, right? We'll be doing a market overview as well. So taking a look at, market trends, key functionalities, all that good stuff. We'll have a quick landscaping, a quick survey of the major payment integrity vendors working today in the space, along with some key statistics. And then finally, we'll leave you with some conclusions, some key takeaways, and we will most likely have time for some Q&A at the end. So yeah, very excited. And without further ado, I will hand it off to you, Ingy.
So how do we do what we do, right? Anytime you see research from IT-Navarca or one of my fellow analysts, it's not likely to be something that you're going to Google and find. It's always primary research. And this primary research can have so many legs and so many components. The findings that we're sharing today come from the IT Matrix. Familiar with that? It's like a very rigorous quantitative assessment of vendors in a particular given space. So this IT Matrix has 4 main pillars. Let's start on the upper left-hand side one, vendor stability. So, when you're evaluating a market, who are the players in that space? How stable are they? How big an organization are they? So that entails things like looking at the number of employees, looking at how long the management has been in place, looking at the risk management skills and capabilities, and also financial stability. The second quadrant there on the right, client strength, how broad is their client base? How diverse is their client base? What does the market find? What does the market think of this vendor, right? So what is their reputation or brand like? And also client attrition. Is there a high client turnover? Are the clients pretty steady and sticky and are willing to renew or interested in renewing after year? That shows us, that gives us a pretty robust color of the vendors in the space and how what their clients' strength is. The third category is client service. Okay, you signed the dotted line, you have a contract, great, congratulations, you're up and running. Now, what about the aftermath, right? So is there enough support for the people that are using this? This is now you're thinking about the health plans and the payers that are using those software, those tools. Do they get the right kind of support? Do they have some kind of training? If they have a question, is there some way that they can troubleshoot? Is the pricing structure in a way that is compelling for them and is aligned with their results? And at the end of the day, it's really about how well does the client feel like, how well a bang for their buck are they getting, right? That's the perceived product value. The quadrant lower left-hand side is about the product features, right? When you're thinking, if you're test driving a car, what are the features and functionalities of that car, or in this case, a payment integrity or payment accuracy solution? How can you implement it? Is it cloud? Is it on-premise? Is it private? And things like that. And how easy is it to use, right? I mean, at the end of the day, those are all features that are going to make a client happy or unhappy. So you'll make sure that category is nice and tight. In addition to this, we'll basically demo vendor products. We'll work with clients, both the vendor references and also other health plan / payer clients that we have friendly relationships with, to get kind of a multiple point of view perspective on that space. So